Hello and welcome to Audiotravels. In this episode you will meet Martha Millan, one of the leading actresses in the US crime series The Cleaning Lady. She will talk about her role.
So I actually play Fiona Della Rosa. We are cleaning ladies. My first introduction in the show, you see me punch someone. So I think that says a lot about her character throughout the series.
She remembers her childhood in the Philippines.
A lot of the way how we live is all about eating, it's dancing, singing, because we do come from a third world country. So there's definitely a lot of strife, but we deal with our struggles and our situations with positivity.
How she lives now in New York.
It's a tough city, so you gotta fight for your right to be on a subway, for your right to be walking down the street, for your right to get a cab.
And you will find out why she calls herself a world traveler.
I think that's why traveling is super important, to understand everybody's perspective so that you're not just from one narrow point of view.
You are listening to an episode of Audiotravels by Henry Barchet.
Hi and welcome to Audiotravels. My guest today is Martha Millan. She is an Australian-Filipino actress living in New York, and she's one of the leading characters in the TV crime drama The Cleaning Lady on Fox television in the US. And she also calls herself a world traveler. Martha Millan, welcome to Audiotravels.
Thank you so much for having me.
Martha, The Cleaning Lady is a crime drama. At the moment, one can only watch the show in the US. Can you describe for our international listeners what the show is about?
Sure. So basically, it's centered on the character of Tony Della Rosa. She's a doctor that was based in the Philippines, but then had to go to America to save her child who is suffering from an immunodeficiency disorder. And during that time, while waiting for a donor, she becomes inadvertently undocumented in the country, but also witnesses accidentally a crime and then in turn becomes the cleaning lady for the mob. So there's so many things about this show that I just tried to give you the elevator pitch there.
In an interview, you called the show groundbreaking for television. What makes The Cleaning Lady so special? What is the difference to other shows?
I think this show is so unique. It was developed by Miranda Kwok, and it's executive produced by Melissa Carter, and they have beautifully shaped this story as, with all the elements of entertainment and everything, but they've creatively woven in topical issues and relevant issues throughout the series, but it's grounded all about family. So yes, you're going to see a lot of explosions and drama and everything, but you are also going to be dealing with a lot of very relevant issues that everybody's dealing with today. But not only that, it's also a very diverse cast, meaning to say that it's the first time in history that a network primetime TV has actually put a Southeast Asian leading lady at the forefront, and then also centering on so many different cultures in the show is Filipino, Armenian, Mexican. So it's groundbreaking in a sense that it's completely representative of the world and what we're actually all going through. So. And
what is your character in the show?
So I actually play Fiona Della Rosa. I am Tony's sister-in-law. She's married to my brother, and I am also undocumented in the show. And we are cleaning ladies, and at the same time, Fiona is a very spirited, passionate woman. I mean. My first introduction in the show, you see me punch someone. So I think that says a lot about her character throughout the series. But her story is one of empowerment in terms of, being a single mother, being undocumented, dealing with extraordinary circumstances, and at the same time, trying to provide the best that she can for her family. So at the same time, she's unaware of Tony being actually the cleaning lady for the mob. So there's many different interwoven storylines that you'll see throughout the show.
The scene when you punch someone is also in the trailer that's available on YouTube, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Is The Cleaning Lady pure fiction, or does it reflect the life of the South Asian immigrants in the US a little bit?
It is obviously a fictional story. It was developed by, as I said, Miranda Kwok, but it was based on the Argentinian series. It's a story, it's a crime drama story, but at the same time, you really delve into the lives of immigrants and the undocumented in America, and in terms of what they're dealing with. And it's a really beautiful way of just humanizing a lot of what the undocumented workers are going through. If you strip away a lot of the labels of whether you are undocumented or a mob or a cleaning lady, it's all about the issues that we're dealing day to day as a family and how to give the best that you can for your family. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to just, hopefully invest in these characters and just walk a mile in their shoes in terms of seeing what they experience day in, day out.
And do you also learn something about the culture of the Philippines while watching the show?
Very much so. So I'm Filipino. I was raised in Australia, but I think you'll see the essence of who Fiona is with her lightheartedness. And the reason why, for me, I love this character is because, yes, she can, be explosive and punch people, but you see the culture in her in terms of how we deal with life as Filipinos. There's always time to sing on karaoke, to eat, to dance, but even in our times of troubles and strife, that is one of the main outlets. Those are many of the outlets that we use in order to just not be so burdened with life so much. And I think culturally that is, that's what you'll see throughout the series with Fiona.
You're listening to Audiotravels. We talk with Martha Millan, actress in the TV show The Cleaning Lady. You are listening to Audiotravels. My guest today is Martha Millan, the actress in The Cleaning Lady, a TV hit show in the US. Martha, you already told us you were born in the Philippines. As a child, you moved to Australia, and now you live in the US. Do you still remember a little bit of the life in the Philippines?
I do, even though I only spent like 4 years in my early life there. I do remember just the festivities and just a lot of the way how we live is all about, it's through eating, it's dancing, singing, and much of that is brought over to wherever we migrate to. Like I was raised in Australia, and that's definitely still a prominent part of our life whenever I go home to visit my mum and dad these days in Australia, of just, come on, let's eat. Okay, let's sing some karaoke, and then you'll always find my mum and dad salsa dancing somewhere. So it's really in our culture to be, I guess, not as to be joyful and everything, but because we do come from a, I guess, Philippines is a third world country, so there's definitely a lot of strife, but we deal with our struggles and our situations with positivities. That's what I remembered there. But I traveled actually to the Philippines when I was in my 20s with my ex at that time, and it was the first time for me to really acknowledge the fact that a whole country, I looked like everybody else. It was so strange. I was like, oh, there's so many Filipinos here. I'm like, yeah, of course, we're in the Philippines. And I went all the way into the Visayas and, just saw the beauty of the Philippines is actually an archipelago. So it's just just so many islands of beauty. So for me, I just remembered the hospitality and just the way people really celebrate life every day, regardless of their situations.
And then you moved to Australia. What kind of influence had the years in Australia on you?
Huge, because I'm still very, very Australian, as you can tell with my accent. My parents obviously went there for better opportunities, and being raised in Australia, we're very far away from the rest of the world. So that's why we travel a lot. So you'll always find an Australian, no matter which country you go to. And that has influenced me in a way that, I love traveling. And with Australian, how can I say it's influenced me? We drink a lot as well. So that's definitely part of the culture there. But just in terms of our a sense of curiosity and our adventure is very embedded in me as well.
And then you moved to the US. You went to Los Angeles, where you attended the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. How difficult was it to make it in the US with all the competition from actors all over the world who want to make it in the US?
I know. It's so funny because it's true. The level of competition is just, it's crazy. But I think you have to go in it without thinking about that and just really being honest and true to yourself. If this is what I want to do, I just got to give it a shot. I think it was more or less my passion and discovery that I loved acting, knowing how absolutely competitive and, a life of struggle to possibly get what you want in terms of a career. But if you really love it, I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't pursue it and continue it. So that was just a driving force in me. I never questioned it, although my parents questioned it a lot. So.
But do you think your ethnic background helped you to get those roles?
Great question. No. I think for me it was very difficult knowing that there weren't many Asian roles out there during the time that I started, and I've been doing this for like 20 years now or something. So when I first started, it was all about just auditioning and not thinking of the limitations that were presented to me. I think it was just a matter of finding opportunities or changing people's minds about a role and, booking them, or at the same time also, having to play the stereotypes and just build your credits with that so that you are able to be seen on a different level and kind of being the exposure itself to other opportunities. So, for me, I just tried, actually, I never really thought about the limitations, even though they were very at the forefront of my career where I had a lot of feedback about it. But those were things that I couldn't change about myself. And I just had to focus on the choices that I made creatively in the room rather than the things that I couldn't change about myself.
You're listening to Audiotravels with Martha Millan. You're listening to Audiotravels, and my guest in this episode is actress Martha Millan, who is also called the World Traveler. Martha, we already talked about the Philippines, Australia, and Los Angeles. You now live in New York. What do you like about the city? What do you like about New York?
New York is a very, very special city. It can challenge you in so many ways, from the extreme weathers to people just everywhere in your face. So many challenges in the city. And you ask yourself, why am I here? Because there's such an energy of possibility in the city. There's an energy of unique authenticity in everyone. I feel like for me, when I got to this city, it was nobody really judged you on your ethnicity, mainly because this is a melting pot of culture in the world that embraces such uniqueness and diversity. And it's a tough city because if you don't give people who you are truly, you get pushed aside. So you gotta fight for your right to be on a subway, for your right to be walking down the street, because someone's just for your right to get a cab. I mean, there's just so many challenges, but because of that sheer possibility, it really drives people. And there's an electric energy here every time. Of course, there's the nightlife, the culture, the music, and the restaurants, art. There's so much, but it's all just in this huge concentration in a tiny, tiny space that makes it so electric.
You also visited a lot of countries in the world, like Spain, Greece, Aruba, Peru, Indonesia, Guatemala, Panama, Mexico. Did you want to travel for pleasure, or do you think travel also forms your character in a way?
My passion for traveling, just mainly it was more about curiosity and adventure. Some of the travels that I've been on were not exactly so smooth and easygoing. Like I did 6 weeks in Brazil, and that was like kind of backpacking it. So it was pretty not rough, but in a sense it was just really being part of the culture. I wasn't going to resorts or anything like that, which is fine. I do go here and there when I need downtime, but I think in order to really understand a country is to live how the locals do, and you get to eat their food, you see how they respond, you understand where their perspectives come from. And I think that's why traveling is super important, to understand everybody's perspective so that you're not just from one narrow point of view.
But you also sometimes relax.
Yes, I definitely find some downtime. The best thing about it is that when you do go through just like a challenging, tough adventure, is that you relish and you actually enjoy the downtime so much more because you've achieved such a feat. Like I remember I climbed Merapi, the volcano in Indonesia, and that was crazy. But just afterwards, it was just so rewarding that, yeah, everything else was just, I just wanted to take it easy and really allow myself to just be taken care of, taking care of myself.
Do you already plan your next trip?
I'm dying still to go to Egypt and Morocco and Turkey. Those are my next targets, I think.
Martha Millan, safe travels and a lot of success with your work. And I hope we talk again one day when you are come back from your next trip or from another trip, an interesting trip.
Absolutely. I would so love that. Hopefully by then, yes, I'll have a new trip to talk about with you.
Thanks for being on the show, and again, lots of success and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Henry. I appreciate it.
You were listening to an episode of Audiotravels by Henry Barchet. The Audiotravels episodes are available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more than 20 streaming platforms around the world.